M0A Online Ground School. Tonight is the night. I am so excited for the presentation we have for you all tonight. We'll be sharing all of that in 7 minutes. But for now, I need y'all to check in. Andre, I know where you're from, but check in. Where are you watching from? Where are you watching from? I saw Jack in Gulfport, Mississippi, as well. Dave G, I've seen you on Facebook and on YouTube now. You're just, you know, an amazing guy. Nancy in Wisconsin. Well, I see you at Oshkosh, Nancy. That's all I really want to know about. That's all that really matters. Username Manawalk in Atlanta, Georgia. Great to see you. Good evening, username Complete Freedom. John Franco, we know you're in Portland, Oregon, but thank you for checking in. Hope to see you at Oshkosh again as well. Bowling Green, Kentucky. I saw Sahil in Philadelphia. Lady Juliet, I didn't see where it was. It went flying by so quickly, but awesome. Victoria, great to see you. Brian Rogers in Pella, Iowa. You know, my dad was from Cedar Rapids, so I've got connections there as well. Justine, great to see you. Steve Compton, Ron Gray. We know you're in Massachusetts, but great to see you. Ethan in Hawaii, Honolulu. I mean, I can be a little jealous of that. So good to see so many of you here. 6 minutes, we are going to be rolling. So keep checking in where you're watching from. I'm seeing the chat fly by on YouTube, fly by on Facebook, and we'll be back in just a bit. Ron in Fort Myers, great to see you. I saw a group from Italy watching. So great to see you guys as well. Dory, as always, great to see you on here. Idaho checking in with Tom Morgan. Hey, Bob Lebrecht, what are you doing in Ackworth, Georgia? That's what I really want to know, Bob Lebrecht. Great to see you on here as well. Daryl Stinson, I say hey right back at you. Amar in New York. Awesome. Hey, Jody Span. I feel like I just saw you on Tuesday at the webinar. Lori Hansen, Marty Miller. Great to see you all as well. Oh, Ryan on YouTube, check ride tomorrow. It's a big day. And you will pass. I am just speaking that over you, my friend. So good. Hey, 4 minutes and we are going to be rolling. You're going to want to make sure you've got your pen, you got your paper. This presentation I have never shared with anybody. Brand spanking new content. Really excited to share it with you all. Coach Ray, of course. Great to see you all here as well. Check in where you're watching from, and then we're going to get the presentation in about 4 minutes. Missouri Online Ground School will be live. Well, we are live. I say that every time, I feel like. We are live. You'll be seeing me in about 2 minutes. We'll be getting started. Check in the chat. Where are you watching from? I see another Jason in Naples. I mean, that is just a great name, great location as well. Holly, great to see you on here. There's Pete. Pete, I didn't bring your Top Gun mug. I hope that is okay. Angel, great to see you. Tim Key in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Mr. Pittman, great to see you on here as well. Ethan, no problem being 27 for 31. You're in Hawaii, so you can take some breaks. That is awesome, awesome. Made it to day 31 live. So proud of so many of you here. Hey, let me rest my voice for just a second here. Keep checking in with where you are watching from, like Michael J. McMurray just did. And if you've listened to Aviation Mastery, the audiobook, you got to hear the soothing sounds of Michael J. McMurray in some of the chapters. Thank you for doing that, my friend. James Kirk, Dell, Gregory, Tim Key, Matt Plant, fellow ground school member, great to see you all. M0A Online Ground School, Jason Schappert here. Welcome to day 31 of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. So thankful, so blessed that you all are here taking time out of your evening, well, to find new ways to better yourself as a pilot. I loved seeing all the names, everyone checking in there. Who is out there? Lori Hansen, as always, great to see you. Tim, I'm not even gonna try to say where in Ohio you are from, Tim, but I'm so glad you are here as well. I can say where Steve's from. He's from Arizona City, Arizona. That just makes sense when you think about it that way. Hunter, great to see you. My buddy Italian Mark, great to see you. Seema, Nat, Terry, so awesome. Hey, Carrie, great to see you. Thank you for keeping Pete in line. That means the world to us. Javier, what's happening with you as well? Justin, Jose, so amazing. Hey, Tim, good to see you all out there watching on YouTube, on Facebook. Again, taking time out of your day to find ways to better yourself as a pilot. But I've got one very, very important question, and I think we can make it official now here. We might as well do it early by typing in me in the chat, who is officially 31 for 31 in the 2024 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. I am just so impressed by so many of you who hung in there day after day, just build. Look at all those me's coming in the chat. I am so impressed by all of you. Just absolutely, the chat just flying. It can't even keep up. The internet can't even keep up with it. I am so impressed by all of you. Just what an absolute blessing it is to go. And some of you have some catch up to do. And if you can't type in me just yet, don't you worry, because you will be typing in soon. I know it's a lot to go over. But you know, the purpose of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge is to take a small step, develop a small habit, a small discipline each and every day to make 2024 your best, your safest flying year yet. And that is really what we're all about here at M0A. So I have a different question I want to ask you. Now that I know most of you here are 31 for 31, and if not, catch up is A-okay, don't you worry. Question for you. What was your favorite day? Your favorite day. Let me show you the days real quick. What was your favorite day? Here's I mean, you could say today's your favorite day. Like, you know, might be a great idea, Tara or Dan or Julio or Mike. It could be good. What was your favorite day? Looking back at the days you see on your screen here. Hector said that alligator. You know, Hector, the alligator scared me just as much. Terry says day 8, that emergency approach and landing. Yeah, I get you. Porter Miller says day 16, landing at a Class Bravo. Wasn't Tampa like just amazing on the, what was I, cleared for landing like 10 miles out, it seemed like. A few people saying the alligator. The alligator was a good one. Was my reaction a little over the top? There was nothing scripted about it. Like a Florida guy excited to see an alligator. That's just, sometimes I'm a little boy at heart, you know, with that one. Seema says the instrument scanning. Cynthia says that long approach, slow flight over the center line. Yeah, so good. The videos with Magda, working the radios. Teamwork, right? Awesome, so good. Yeah, the Class B departure, all of them. Engine failure, that's right, on takeoff, no runway remaining. You don't realize, like when you take off, by the way, this is my airplane that my parents gave me when I was like 6 years old. So this is our model today here. You don't realize though, when you take off, that engine quits, how quickly you have to get that airplane down, that nose down, and get that airplane flying again. What you don't hear in that video is before I even get that power back to idle, that stall warning horn is about ready to come down. So I had to get that nose coming on down. So awesome. Pop-up IFR says, Hector, the complex taxi. Yeah, absolutely. Great one. So it's so good just to see all the Tampa stuff. Ryan said, yeah, Tampa was really, I can't promise, Ryan, that every Class Bravo arrival and departure will be that smooth. But Tampa really were very scholarly, we'll call them, that day. They were very professional and did an amazing job with that one. Now, if I could, and I don't know if anybody mentioned it. If you did, there's over 1,000 people watching this right now. So if you did mention it, I apologize. Camille just mentioned one of them. I have 2 videos I'd like you to rewatch. 2 videos I'd like you to rewatch as homework. And I'm not saying you didn't watch them, because I just saw 1,000 people just check in and say that they're 31 for 31. And I totally believe that. And that's absolutely amazing here. But there's 2 videos. They post on Sundays, so Sundays are a tough day for the Safer Pilot Challenges because a lot of you are with family and everything else. There's 2 videos I want you to rewatch though. The first is day 21. It's how to choose the best alternate. And I teach in that video, and for some of you this will just be a recap, and maybe go rewatch it. I teach in that video how having an alternate beyond your destination is not always the right solution. Having an alternate instead, somewhere between that 40 to 60th kind of percentile of completion of that flight, is the more appropriate place, and along your route of flight is the better place to have an alternate. And the second video I'd like you to rewatch, the one Camille mentioned a second ago, is day 28. That is that alternator failure video. Unscripted. I don't even know what video I had planned in mind that day, but that really put a kink in things. And it was just great to see something not only unscripted, but also see, hey, here's the plan, let's stick to the plan, let's work the plan. Here's my checklist, we're gonna go through it. I realized when the circuit breaker was popped, it made no sense to work that master switch, but this is what the checklist says. Let's just do it and see, maybe I'm gonna learn something along the way as well. To see working through, you know, we don't spend a lot of time on that abnormal checklist or that emergency checklist. It's a good thing to practice. In fact, just speaking humbly here, if you watch that video again, look and see the first book I grab, I look and I go, I don't think it's in here, but I'm gonna double check. I wasn't even 100% sure which of the 2 books the Cirrus has, the quick reference or the big book, I was gonna find an Alt 2 failure in. I had to go with the big book. I kind of had that feeling, but I wasn't certain. So you just get to see how we work through these issues as well. So with that, let's dive into day 31. Again, this is brand spanking new content. I just put this together, and it's actually about a very relevant thing that occurred during the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. So if you are ready to play full out, and by full out, I mean, I know there's a lot of you here. I'm gonna do my best to leave the chat up so you can see it. If not, you'll see it on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever that is at. This is interactive. So when Steve Spores comments or Fernando Gonzalez comments, right, I'm going to see it. So I want you all active in the chat, asking questions, engaging one another as well, saying hi, asking questions, whatever that may be. So if you are ready to play full out, there are no dumb questions, there's no talking over the teacher, don't worry about that. We're here to learn. If you are ready, type in me in the chat, and let's go ahead and let's get started here. Day 31 of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge is going to start with something that actually occurred during the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge on day 5, to be more specific. And if you didn't hear about it, well, I guess you need to check your aviation news or even just your regular news as well. Let me read to you a little story, and I'm going to relate all of this, I promise, back to general aviation. Let's look at this video here together. So, Alaska Airlines, Flight 1282. It experienced a critical incident, as the NTSB called it, on January 5th of this year, right? During a routine flight from Portland, Oregon to Ontario, California. The Boeing 737-9 MAX encountered an in-flight structural failure at approximately 16,000 feet. Remember that, 16,000 feet, leading to a rapid decompression. The event was triggered by the detachment of a 60-pound, that would have hurt, 60-pound door plug in an emergency exit. Key events from the flight data recorder indicate that the cabin pressure began slowly dropping, so maybe a slow leak to start, at 14,830 feet, with the cabin altitude warning activated shortly thereafter. The aircraft reached a maximum altitude of 16,320 feet before beginning an emergency descent to 10,000 feet. The pilot successfully made an emergency landing back at Portland International Airport at 5:27 p.m. Now, of course, I know you saw this in the news. I'm sure your friends called you and said, hey, did you see the plane that the door fell off of? My phone was blowing up when all this happened. Was this like super dangerous? Was this life-threatening? If I was sitting in the emergency exit row, I'd probably feel like it was a little life-threatening. But that's what seatbelts are for, right? You'll see in a second here, they did lose their cell phones. They got ejected, is what the NTSB called it. They got sucked out of the airplane is what really happened. Thankfully, nobody on the ground was hurt by a 60-pound door falling from 16,000 feet. But other than the people sitting in the emergency exit row, who I would have screamed to. I may be a 6'4" guy, but who would have screamed a little bit if you were in the emergency exit row? I mean, maybe Dave G wouldn't have because he's a skydiver and all this stuff, but I went skydiving once. Once is all you need to do skydiving-wise. It's just unnecessary after that. Who would have screamed a little bit if you're sitting in the emergency exit row? A few rows up, it just would have been loud, noisy, dusty as well. Andre said the 2 cell phones survived, by the way. I feel like they should auction this off on eBay or something like that. But yeah, I would have been a little nervous. But at 6, let me ask you a question though. At 16,000 feet, okay, there's a risk of hypoxia, but is there really a risk of passing out at 16,000 feet? It depends on the people. But if you look at what the AIM actually shares with us as far as time of useful consciousness goes, 16,000 feet doesn't even make the map. In fact, at 20,000 feet, we can last 30 plus minutes until someone's going to end up passing out. And I just want you to see, because I know some of you are going to be flying in those flight levels one of these days, how you get all the way up to something like 45,000 feet, and the time of useful consciousness is measured in seconds, 9 to 15 seconds. Actually, once you get above 35,000 feet is when we start measuring our time until, what I mean by this is until you pass out, right? Just to understand that. Now, let's look at this a little bit deeper here. So the decompression event, it actually had significant effects inside the aircraft. The flight deck door actually flew, and you know how hard they lock those things, right? The flight deck door flew open, smashing against the bathroom door and literally breaking the bathroom door, causing non-structural damage to multiple rows of seats as well. Personal items, like Andre said, including mobile phones, were ejected. They got sucked out of the aircraft. In the aftermath, Alaska Airlines initially grounded its fleet of 65 737 MAX 9s, but soon returned 18 of those to service after inspection. However, the FAA issued an emergency airworthiness directive, and the airline removed these aircraft from service again. Other airlines operating the Boeing MAX 9 also conducted inspections and grounded their fleets as a precaution. And as you can imagine, this is an ongoing investigation, right? Who's to blame here? I'm not trying to put blame here. I'm trying to tee something up to you. I want to talk about maintenance today. And actually, you see something like this. And does anybody remember the Payne Stewart accident? Sometimes referred to as the ghost plane, kind of a creepy name to use, but the Payne Stewart accident, which was actually a Learjet at 48,000 feet that had a very, very slow leak, and everybody passed out and had absolutely no idea. Actually, here's an animation of it here to share with you. So 48,000 feet, Orlando to Dallas, yet they crashed in South Dakota because they kept flying until they ran out of gas. Obviously, they scrambled fighter jets as well to pull up next to them because no one's responding to this. And actually, how they pull up is they actually go in front of the jet, as you can see here, and try to put some wake on them to wake them up a little bit. But as you'll see, as they pulled closer, they were able to look and see all the windows, including the windshield, was iced over, as you can see here. Here's the interesting part, and I want to read it actually from the NTSB report. The NTSB report showed the plane had several instances of maintenance work related to cabin pressure in the months leading up to the crash. The NTSB was unable to determine where this stemmed from a common problem. Replacements or repairs were documented, but all the pilot discrepancies about pressurization that prompted these things weren't in any of those maintenance reports. Now, it's very interesting. The 737 that Alaska Airlines was flying was pretty darn close to a brand new airplane. The Learjet that was chartered by Payne Stewart and his agent, and there was a famous coach on there too, I can't remember if it was on there, was a 23-year-old airplane. Why did I put two accidents, both related to pressurization, when most of us here aren't flying yet a pressurized aircraft? Why did I pin these two accidents kind of here next to each other? Well, with one being a nearly brand new airplane and one being a 23-year-old airplane, you have to look and say, okay, was it the age of the airplane? Was it this? What was really the issue? And tonight's topic that I want to take a deeper dive into is actually this simple statement. Do you know what maintenance your airplane just had? You know, I am always skeptical of my airplane. It doesn't matter if it's 23 Mike Zulu or who did the maintenance or whatever it is. I am all like, when 23 Mike Zulu comes out of annual inspection, right? I have to really take a step back when I approach that airplane. And trust me, I want to get it flying again. I want to get going, but you almost have to kind of step back, step into your humility corner for a second here and say, listen, anything could happen. I don't care what kind of mechanic just did this maintenance. It really doesn't matter. This thing just came out of annual. I remember when 23 Mike Zulu has been painted twice, so this won't reveal anything. One of the two times 23 Mike Zulu was painted, it came out of the paint shop, and I'm always very particular about how we pre-flight after maintenance, test flights after maintenance, all this, especially something like coming out of paint, because all the flight controls are taken off, and we're inspecting everything free. It's not just flight controls free and correct, like we're inspecting everything. But the one thing we didn't inspect was the trim. And we get up and we start flying, and we realize very quickly that down trim is up and up trim is down. I cannot make this up. Now, that's a minor thing. We're able to reverse engineer it and get us trimmed up and fly home. But there's actually an NTSB report coming out of a paint shop once again, where they rigged the controls, all the controls literally backwards, where up was down, down was up, right was left, left was right. And the pilots, realizing this after they had taken off very difficultly, they got up and they said, listen, we're gonna retrain our brains. They flew around for like 3 hours, retraining their brains on how to fly backwards and made a successful landing. It only was an NTSB report because it was considered a flight control malfunction or failure as well. So do you know what maintenance your airplane just had? If you're in a flight school environment, I understand that can be challenging, but you need to know when 100 hour was done, when this thing was done down for annual inspection. Maybe you do phase inspections, whatever that may be. You have to know what kind of maintenance your aircraft just had. Now I want to take it a step further, because I know you all dream of being aircraft owners and everything else one of these days, but even if you're just renting an airplane right now, do you know what your airplane is susceptible to? What do I mean by that? Right? Some airplanes just have vices, right? This type of airplane always has a nose gear issue, or whatever. It's how some things were made. And maybe you can think about some things like that. Do you know what type of maintenance issues your airplane is susceptible to? I'll give you an example. I own a Cessna 150, my very first airplane. Many of you know the 512 Romeo stories. Well, that's a Continental 0200 engine. So this isn't so much a Cessna problem, more so an older Continental engine problem. It's only an 1,800 hour TBO for starters, and very, very rarely do those aircraft make it to TBO without a top end overhaul, overhauling the 4 cylinders. In fact, I've had mechanics tell me the only way they'll make it to their TBO is doing a top end overhaul somewhere around mid-time, which isn't a whole lot, right? 800 hours or so, you're doing a top end overhaul. It's only 4 little cylinders, but still it's $1,200 a cylinder. It's not cheap. Do you know these sort of things so you can be watching, so you can be prepared? Let me show you something really interesting that you can do here as well. We're gonna visit my good friend, Carol. Anybody know Carol? Carol? Carol, what does Carol stand for? Case, now somebody look up what Carol stands for. Carol is the NTSB's search tool. This is your friend Carol. Case, the C's case, that's all. Dave G knows, he's got it written down somewhere. We're gonna go to our friend Carol. All you gotta do is search Carol, like the lady's name. Any Carols watching out there? All you gotta do is go to Carol, and we're gonna go over to Carol, and we're gonna look at our aviation fields. We're gonna go to aircraft make. Let's do is, so we're very definite about this, and let's do Cessna. All right, and we're gonna do this for 23 Mike Zulu real quick. Let's go back, let's do aircraft make again here, aviation fields, aircraft model now, and we're going to go is a 172 Lima, all right? And then we're gonna go over to our common investigation fields, all the way down to other, and we're gonna go to probable cause, and I want you to put in maintenance. Bonus points if you can spell maintenance. Clearly, I'm very thankful for spell check, because that's not my thing. That's why I always put MX. Carol's gonna do her search. By the way, Carol, thank you, Italian Marcus, case analysis and reporting online. There are 5 accidents, 1 fatality, all kind of old here, that involve a 172 Lima, which is what 23 Mike Zulu is, and the probable cause of that accident being maintenance related. All of you, right? Eric Pittman, your Cessna 150, down to the letter, right? A Mike model, a Lima model, whatever it is. You should be looking this up. Not now, Eric Pittman, I see you doing it. Don't do it now. Probable cause maintenance. Now, some of these could be people just didn't do good maintenance, right? Or let's actually look into a few of these here together. Let's leave that up. We can leave the chat up here. Let's look at this here together. This is the first one here. While in cruise flight, the engine had a sudden partial loss of power and made a clanging noise. Well, that's never good, right? Although the engine continued to operate at a maximum of 900 to 1100 revolutions per minute, insufficient power was available to maintain altitude. The pilot contacted the tower of a nearby airport but determined they would not be able to reach the runway. Due to power lines and a blind curve on a paved road, the pilot opted to land adjacent to the road. The airplane impacted a ditch and came to rest inverted. The engine had been overhauled, listen to this, 2 hours before the accident. A field overhaul had been performed on the engine due to a bent pushrod, stuck valve, and broken lifter for the number 3 cylinder. During the field overhaul, all the 4 rocker arms had a magnetic particle inspected. Examination of the engine revealed the number 3 cylinder exhaust rocker arm had separated into 2 pieces. How do you say this word? A metallurgical, how close was I, guys? A metallurgical, yeah, they studied the metal. Examination was performed on the rocker arms by a safety board. If you ever give me a business card that says you're a metallurgist, you get a free book, okay? A guy or gal who studies metal. The number 3 exhaust rocker arm had a fracture around the central pivot hole due to fatigue. The fatigue originated at the outer surface of the oil hole. The corners of the hole were sharp and not been deburred. It goes on and on and on. Let's just jump to the probable cause here. The NTSB determines the probable cause of this accident to be the failure of the maintenance personnel to detect fatigue cracks in the number 3 exhaust rocker arm, which led to the partial loss of power. This thing just had an overhaul. I shouldn't have to worry about cracks in any rocker arms. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, they did a field overhaul. What's a field overhaul? Well, a field overhaul is I go to Jason Schappert, my mechanic, and if I was a real mechanic, and Jason Schappert did the overhaul, as opposed to sending it to Lycoming, sending it to Continental, sending it away to an engine shop. It was like done in their hangar. There's nothing wrong with that. Field overhauls happen. You don't need to shy away from field overhauls. You should know who's doing it though, because whoever was doing this one missed cracking in the cylinders. Like, you're already in there. It's not like seeing the cylinders was difficult. The case is off. A borescope is like, these things are there. So this accident was actually blamed on the maintenance personnel. Fascinating thing to look at. There was another one there I want to read. Listen to this one. This fits in the like just too crazy to believe stories. This one's a little bit long, but let's read it here together. After takeoff, the student pilot, lessee of the airplane, performed airwork with the CFI on board, returned for landing with the CFI flying the airplane. The CFI stated that the flight entered the traffic pattern to land on runway 26. While over the runway, there all of a sudden was no more controllability of the plane by the yoke. That sounds scary. He asked the student to pull on the yoke, but again, there was no response from the yoke, not the student. The airplane touched down on all 3 landing gear, bounced. After the second touchdown, I'm sure no one's ever had 2-for-1 landings, right? Anybody ever have a buy one, get one landing? After the second touchdown, the CFI applied rudder input as the airplane departed the runway onto the grass. Evidence of a hard landing was noted. The yoke wheel assembly was found completely fractured 5 inches from the bottom. Jumping ahead a little bit, extensive corrosion from the fracture location down approximately 3 inches was noted on the forward and left sides of the exterior surface of the lower separated piece of the yoke wheel assembly when viewed from the installed airplane. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, kind of in the middle. Mold was found on the cockpit side of the firewall insulation blanket, white and green powder. Examination of the 2 sections of the yoke assembly by personnel from Cessna Company indicated the wall thickness was near the separation point. Here's the really crazy part. Jump down to that kind of almost like a paragraph break. The airplane was determined to be partially submerged by salt water, this was in Florida, as a result of Hurricane Floyd in September of 1999. The water level was reportedly up to the battery. The airplane was sold as salvage, but then the owner reported to the FAA the airplane was destroyed or scrapped. However, mysteriously, the airplane was re-registered with the FAA. There is no entry in the maintenance records indicating the airplane was submerged, nor was it actually required, believe it or not. The airplane was inspected in accordance with its annual 100-hour inspection using the service manual checklist for 50, 100, and 200-hour service inspections. The airplane had accumulated approximately 12 hours since the time of the accident, according to Cessna personnel. There's no inspection listed on the airplane service manual when an airplane becomes partially or submerged in salt water. Additional review of the ACs revealed no inspection criteria or advice on what to do with the salt water in that aircraft. Here's the probable cause, if you could guess it. The NTSB determines the probable cause of this accident to be the total failure of the yoke assembly due to corrosion resulting in the inability of the flight crew to maintain elevator control of the airplane. Additionally, inadequate annual inspection of the airplane by other maintenance personnel for failure to identify extensive corrosion of the yoke. Findings were, well, the airplane was submerged by Hurricane Floyd in '99. The advisory circulars don't identify any procedures for a submerged aircraft, and the airplane manufacturer does not have an inspection procedures after your aircraft is submerged in salt water. It fits in the like too crazy to believe category, doesn't. Sold it as salvage. That's like yeah, Bjorn says, that's not shady at all. Yeah, it's just totally normal. Again, super shady. But you all are going to be buying aircraft one day, right? I know you want to be aircraft owners if you're not already. You're flying flight school airplanes. I'm sure your flight school does an amazing job. But we know how we treat airplanes sometimes. Just be a little more thorough on our pre-flight inspections. What sort of maintenance issues is your aircraft susceptible to? What is in your aircraft's history that could make it susceptible to certain things, right? Like a hurricane or whatever that may be. You see, it really comes down to this. And you thought we were doing teaching earlier, but now I really want to get into the teaching here. You see, when it comes to aircraft maintenance, when it comes to your flight training, when it comes to anything you are putting yourself to, the past 31 days, every single day, you've watched a video, you've checked in the chat, you've been fully present, you've been fully engaged. But I'm here to tell you just one little thing, and my online ground school members know this so well. Knowledge isn't power, knowledge is just potential power. You have all the knowledge you need now to go make 2024 your best and safest flying year yet. But if we just sit back and we don't do anything with that, that knowledge is powerless. You know, I started M0A 16 years ago. There's gray hair in there to prove it, I promise. And you know what, 16 years ago, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't know what I was doing. I made so many mistakes, like I did my flight training as well. Who's ever made a mistake in their flight training before? Bad landings, bad CFI, bad flight school, wrong airplane, started too early, started too late, ran out of time, ran out of money. Like where are these people? Knowledge isn't power, knowledge is potential power. You have all the knowledge you need in you to succeed. And for all those people that have made, like Eric Deagle said, who hasn't had these things? Yeah, if you're not typing in me in the chat, well, maybe you need to go back to that humility corner we were talking about. Again, perhaps a little bit. You see, we've all made mistakes in aviation, in business, in life, whatever that may be. But I want to tell you something important. If knowledge isn't power, knowledge is just potential power, I need you to focus on something as we go into 2024. I just want to speak over you that 2024 is going to be your best flying year yet, and I promise you it's going to be your best personal, right? Business, whatever goals you're striving for. Because you have to realize this. This is true in aviation. This is true in life. Your past doesn't equal your future. That bad landing, it's not thinking about you. That mistake you made, whatever that may be, it's not thinking about you as far as that goes. You know, I haven't shared, I don't really ever share much personally, but, you know, we have been through so much to get here, just to be here tonight. Like, my ground school members know the whole M0A story. Like back when I was what I now lovingly called tow truck poor. Anybody ever been tow truck poor? Where you're so poor that you can't make your car payment because the tow truck man's coming to get it, right? And here I am trying to start this little thing called M0A and figure it out. Meanwhile, everyone's saying, well, that's not a good idea. No one's going to learn to fly on the internet. That's a terrible idea. Just like maybe someone told you, like, why are you learning to fly now? You should have done that 20 years ago. Why are you changing careers to aviation now? Right? There's always naysayers. My instructor, who I loved, she told me, maybe you're not meant to be a pilot. That hurt. And many of you know that story of when, and I probably deserved that when I missed the runway and basically had a controlled crash and everything else. And even as I was growing M0A, I remember there was this mastermind group of these really, really just powerful business leaders in the area. And I always wanted to join it. And I finally got an invite and I finally got in and I was in there for a few months. I remember they told me, they said, Jason, none of your ideas are realistic. Talking like business ideas and this sort. They said, none of your ideas are real. Like they all seem so far-fetched and hypothetical. Like we don't think any of that's even possible. I thought, I'm definitely in the wrong group, right? Where are my dreamers at if someone comes to you and says that? Why do I share all of this? Listen, I don't care what's happened in the past in your flying. I'm not embarrassed by the bad landing, or you ran out of money while you're trying to do your flying, or you ran out of time, or you haven't finished yet and you feel guilty that you haven't finished yet and you're trying to push this across the finish line. In 2024, your past does not equal your future. I'm not going to hold you to your past. All I'm going to hold you to is the goals we set here moving forward as far as that goes. You know, you chose to show up here tonight. And that's amazing. Because this is what success looks like in aviation. This is what success looks like in anything we're pursuing. Your personal life, your business life, your relationships, whatever it is. And you've exercised this. Success, at the end of the day, success in anything is a series of small disciplines that you practice every day. And let me tell you something. Over the past 31 days, you've gone to the gym 31 days in a row. Small little workouts, mental workouts, in this case, the Safer Pilot Challenge. You're building a habit. Science says it takes 66 days to form a habit. Well, you're almost halfway there, like 47% of the way there. How do you turn this idea that a good pilot is always learning and turn that into a habit? How do you turn this into a habit in your business, in your marriage, in your relationships, whatever that may look like? How do you turn this into your habit? So I say all that to say perhaps and share with you perhaps the most important slide of this entire presentation. Those of you who know me know I am a good accountability partner because I'm going to hold you to it. Eric Pittman can attest to that. Ron, you can attest to that. There's many of you out there who can say, yeah, Jason's not afraid to ask you, how's that going? And what can we do about it? And what happened that we missed that goal, right? I will be a loving accountability partner for you. So of all the slides in this entire presentation, I'd say this is the most important. What are you committed? Committed, like I wish I could have made it bold and bigger. Put it in the chat. What are you committed to do to make 2024 your best year yet? If this is your flying, that's great. You can give me personal, I'll hold you for personal goals too. I really don't care. I am here to help, to mentor, to lead, to shepherd, whatever word you want to use. Whatever word you want to use. What are you committed to do to make 2024 your best year yet? Dave's going to get his commercial certificate. Glenn, I'm going to hold you to that IFR written test done. Flying Bulldog Company says finish instant rating. Yes, yes. Chris Stater, great to see you on here as well. Josh, I'm going to hold you to it. And Josh, I want to see you on some webinars. How about we start our accountability that way? as well. Hold you to that. A bunch finishing the instant rating. Make it to Oshkosh. I love that. Can we show Kathy's? I love Kathy's. Where'd Kathy? There's so it was right there. You had it right there. Down. It was a green avatar. We lost it. Kathy's was to support her husband in pursuing his private pilot. I loved it. I loved it. So good. Ken Young, get back flying again. I'm going to hold you to it. Ken, I see you every in-flight coffee. I see you. Anytime we go live, you're there. I see your comments on Facebook, on YouTube, and the M0A Nation. I'm going to hold you to it. So Ken, let me ask you. It's one thing to say, I'm going to get flying again. What is that step? Maybe you say, well, I'm not ready for 3 more months. Why don't you call the FBO tomorrow and make an appointment 90 days from now? What gets scheduled gets done, right? I love that. Frank, private pilot. I love Lisa. 63, new nurse. Now I'm going for commercial and CFI. Amazing. You are going to be a phenomenal CFI. There's a special place in my heart for CFIs. Let me ask something. By typing in me in the chat, you can keep putting your goals in there, but by typing in me in the chat, where are my CFIs at? Listen, you need to start grabbing some, and CFIs, share where you're located. Would you mind some free advertising? CFIs, share where you're located, because let me tell you something. Any CFI who gives up their Wednesday night at 8:30 or whatever time zone they're in, gives up their Wednesday night to find ways to better themselves in aviation is clearly someone who's interested in bettering their students as well. So many times people become a CFI and they just, well, I'm a CFI now. So they stop learning. But any CFI that is on here, if you see someone in your area, you need to screenshot their name and go, I give you permission to stalk them. Okay, CFI, is that okay? I just gave everyone permission. Facebook, you're gonna get so many ad requests on Facebook and random emails. I'm telling you. So that's the goal. Find those CFIs. Those are the ones that are going to make you better, safer, smarter, because they're spending time here. So get those. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Andrew, to those CFIs out there. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, I saw so many of you. You've got written test goals. You've got check ride goals. You've got getting back in the air goals. I hope you realize and know that M0A is not just amazing YouTube videos, amazing Facebook videos, but there is a living, breathing, amazing business behind all of this, and that is our online ground school. Where are my online ground school members out? Alumni and current members as well. Where are you at? Golf clap for all of my amazing online ground school members. So just thankful for you all. If you'd love to join that amazing, amazing family, I actually have, there's 2 ways to go about it. If you are ready to take action on that, maybe you've already taken a trial, there's a promo code that ends tonight, actually, if we could show that, and it's SPC, Safer Pilot Challenge 24. It's 30% off your first month. So you got 2 options there. If you've never seen inside the online ground school, I encourage you to go to m0atrial.com, try it for 2 weeks. If you have seen inside the online ground school or are a past member and want to come back, on checkout, use promo code SPC24. That literally expires tonight at midnight. So make sure you use that. It works on the gold, silver, or bronze membership. Of course, I'm going to push you towards the gold membership because that means we get to hang out every Tuesday. I get to see you all. I do a webinar every Tuesday afternoon with our beloved online ground school gold members as well. So you have access to all of that. But listen, I am so thankful for all of you that are 31 for 31. Did anybody learn something here tonight? Anybody, give me a hand wave emoji or something. Did anybody learn something here tonight that is gonna make 2024 your best year yet? Listen, when you write down these goals, when you make them plain, right? When they are there, now you can run with them. I need you to not only write down those goals, but tonight I want you to fall asleep dreaming of not only that goal, but the steps you're going to take tomorrow and the steps you're going to take at the end of February and the end of March that you're going to be doing towards those goals. Because let me tell you something. I go back and I read every comment and I'm going to hold you accountable to it. So listen, I want to open it up for questions now. Questions, comments, concerns, anything. This is your time. This is your time to ask questions. Anything, we'll say aviation related. Anything aviation related, feel free to put your questions in there. Again, some ask about the trial link again. It's m0atrial.com, m0atrial.com. All right, questions. Oh, and the code again, let me go back for the code, was SPC24. Safer Pilot Challenge, SPC, and it's 2024, so 24. That is that. All right, let's head over. Let's find some questions. I will be here as long as you need me. I mean, it's already past my bedtime, so Manny, great to see you on here as well. BJ asked a great question. How do you determine which altitude to fly? Well, BJ, that was weird how that came across the screen like that. BJ, great question. How do we determine which altitude to fly? Well, can I go to the whiteboard? Is that going to be really inconvenient to go to the whiteboard? I want to honor BJ here. I got to clean the whiteboard here real quick. Let's draw. Now, who knows how good my drawing skills are? This is going to be like Bob Ross, Happy Trees. I'm going to move the M0A sign. Hold on, stand by. We're anything for you, BJ. We got this. Don't you worry. How about there? All right. How do I determine which altitude to fly? A few factors, BJ. I'm going to go. I want to draw left-handed. My drawing's bad enough as it is. All right, you ready, BJ? First off, here's my airport. Here's my other airport. First question, BJ, is how far is the distance between these two airports? Right? If this is just a 50-mile little hop, it doesn't make sense to go all the way up to 9,000 feet just for 5 minutes and then come back down. So I'm constantly thinking about how far am I actually going. But there's other factors that involve in this too, BJ. I've got these big white puffy things that always want to get in my way, right? And these clouds. So I'm thinking about what are the clouds doing? Today I was just flying up to Ocala and I had a 25-knot headwind at the 8,000 feet that I wanted. If I did it at 4,000 feet, it was only a 12-knot headwind. So I picked that based on what the winds were actually doing that day as well. I factor in fuel burn, a few other little things like this as well, but that's really the summary of it. What's the weather doing? What's the wind doing? How far am I traveling? Hold on, BJ, I'll sign this for you. That's my real signature, BJ. And this will be delivered to you, BJ, as an NFT. So if somebody could hook me up on the blockchain, that'd be great. Thanks. All right, now, I told you, it's like Bob Ross. All right, Ron said Rembrandt and Picasso combined. That's a really great compliment. Thank you. Richard, how do you declare an alternator failure with no radio or transponder? So I've had 2 alternator failures in 2023, and I will not have one in 2024. You got to remember, an alternator failure does not mean you're losing your entire electrical system yet. You have around 30 minutes to get all those radio calls out and let them know, hey, listen, this is the situation. I've just lost my alternator. I'm probably going to be no radio in about 30 minutes here, so I'm going to start shedding some load, right? Turn off nav 2, all this other stuff. Start doing all that. But if I go no radio, these are my intentions. This is where I'm going. So broadcast it early and get those things out there as well. Aviate Maddie said, your #1 advice for the private pilot check ride. Well, Aviate Maddie, I know you have this. And I'm sorry to be all over the studio here today. If you do not have, and this is not a sales pitch, but I'm sure you have it. If you do not have Pass Your Private Pilot Check Ride as the book, as an audio book especially, I need you to listen to that. Now you got to put up with me for like 3 hours of listening to me read an audio book, but you've done it for 43 minutes so far, so you're doing a really, really great job. Beyond that, listen, I know there's always the advice, well, your instructor wouldn't have signed you off. What was it, Maddie? If you weren't ready for it, yeah, that's good advice. That's true. That makes you, feel warm and fuzzy. But at the end of the day, treat it this way. That evaluator, by the way, they're evaluators, not examiners anymore. That evaluator is your first passenger. Approach it that way. Give them the passenger brief. Talk out loud to them like you are when you're flying with your spouse or your friend or whomever that may be. Treat them like they're your first passenger. Because you'll be even a little nervous when you have your first passenger. Some other advice, I don't know if you've been flying with the same CFI for the past 40, 50, 60 hours. Go do a flight with a different CFI. That CFI weighs differently, so they weigh more, they weigh less, whatever it may be, so the airplane's gonna fly differently. They speak differently, they ask questions differently. A check ride evaluator is gonna feel and be the same way as that. Steve, that SBC 24 was for 30% off your first month of the online ground school. I want to take Nick's question right there. How did you get over the mental hurdles, these words, what was the other word, metallurgical? Mental hurdles that presented itself when you felt discouraged about starting M0A. Nick, nothing worth doing is easy. Why are there only 600,000 pilots in the United States? It's hard. It's expensive too, I get that, but it's generally just difficult. Starting a business is difficult. I mean it, Nick, and I don't have time to get in the whole story, but like there were moments where literally my house was about to be foreclosed on. The tow truck guy was trying to take my house, and I was convinced that I needed to be in front of my computer and trying to figure out this M0A thing. I remember when I first launched M0A as a ground school 16 years ago, I went to bed thinking I'm gonna wake up and there's gonna be all these customers. I had one person sign up. All I offered was a private pilot course at the time. One person, a lady signed up. Hilaria McAllister, if she's out there watching, was customer number one. She's come by Sun and Fun in Oshkosh many, many years. One, I said, I must have crashed the website because there was so much traffic. That had to be what happened. No, that isn't what happened, right? It's persistence. It's you have to keep seeking and knocking and knocking and knocking. And when your hand gets tired, use the other hand to keep knocking and the door gets open. Like you have to be so persistent with it. You cannot just stop at the first little roadblock in business and aviation and anything. Jody, an amazing online ground school member. Can you fly more than 50 miles away from your home airport after you've completed private pilot training but awaiting your check ride? Can I fly? Hold, leave that there 1 second. I need to read it again. Can I fly more than 50 miles away from my home airport after you've completed your training? Jody, you have to be endorsed for each airport you're going to fly to. You have to have your 90-day endorsement, and since that's technically a cross-country, you need to be endorsed for each cross-country airport with that. Michaela asked about motion sickness. Oh, I suffered motion sickness. Like my first hours were 0.4, 0.5. When Magda and I first started flying, she suffered motion, back to that persistence, you've got to build a tolerance. And let me tell you something, this is kind of graphic and gross. Actually, vomiting is one of the worst things you can do. You actually regress. So how they teach people learning to fly aerobatics and upset training is take it all the way up to the point, but stop before you actually throw up. Because throwing up actually causes a regression in your tolerance. Don't throw up. That's my advice. All right. Do I suggest, this is my friend Hugo, a manual E6B or an electronic E6B? Hugo, can I tell you something? You've known me now for a while now, Hugo. In college, I was on the E6B team. I can't make this up. It's no wonder I didn't have a girlfriend in college. They were going out with all the football players, and I was on the E6B team. It's just, that's what happened. Who else would join the E6B team? So Hugo, the manual E6B has a special place in my heart because I was on the Jacksonville University E6B flight computer team. And I'm proud. I never got a Letterman jacket, but I'm proud of that. Jason Heinrich says the 172 I rent has cracking on the tires. Is that okay? Probably not. I'll show you a tire. I have all sorts of stuff here. This is, I don't know what check ride this is from. Whatever check ride I took on March 28th of 06, this tire is really dirty. They gave me this tire because I was so excited. I came back from my check ride that I locked up the wheels because I was so excited to tell my mom that I flat spotted the tire, so they gave it to me. Cracking like where? Are we talking cracking in the sidewalls? Are we talking cracking in the Can we just say that cracking on tires is bad? Let's just go with that. I'm going to say no, and I would ask them respectfully to change that. And then I'm going to need to wash my hands after this. I'm kind of like a germaphobe. I know that's not germs, that's dirt, but it's still yucky. All right. Let's see. Danielle got her medical. Amazing. Amazing. I love that. Sam asked how to approach rental companies about aircraft maintenance. Remember it this way, my friend. At the end of the day, you're the buyer. You vote with your dollars, right? Hey, if it's okay, I'd like to see the maintenance records. I just want to look over them real quick, make sure the 100-hour annual inspection. I don't even take them home or anything. I just like to peek at what's happening and stay in the loop with everything, right? Username November 48, Papa Mike. Good short tail number. I have a soft spot for short tail numbers. How do you deal with unintelligible controllers? Controllers that are really hard to understand? You speak more clearly and you just pray for the frequency change. Now I'm teasing a little bit about that. If you don't know, there's 2 words. The AIM gives them to us. This is a 2023 AIM. I need my 2024 over here. Say again. I add a please at the end of that, so that's 3 words. And if you really don't know, just unable, right? Say again. They'll slow down. They may be sassy. Who's ever had a sassy controller before? I'm sure no one here has ever had a sassy controller. I had a sassy controller, I don't know, last week. Yeah, I had a sassy, no, I can't say that. I had a sassy controller this week, but I can't say, that's all I can say. It's on video, but it will not be released because I gave him a little sass back. But that's why. Sassy controllers, it happens. Hunter had a sassy one today. Can I tell you what the sassy, okay, I gotta tell my story. Hold on, I gotta tell the story. Tell me, will you be my therapist for just 1 second? I need an aviation therapist. I just need a vent. I'm never gonna post this video, not this video, but this video that happened about the sassy controller, okay? I need you to just be my therapist. So let me sit in my comfy chair and you just listen real quick, okay? There I was. Filming your Secret to Perfect, by the way, next month is a Secret to Perfect Landing series. I'm filming the Secret to Perfect Landings. I'm doing touch and goes. Life is good, all right? Controller change, sassy controller enters the picture now. Sassy controller says, hey, 23 Mike Zulu, you're clear to land. Actually, you'll see in the video, I make a point going, hey, did you hear that? I was doing touch and goes, he cleared me to land. We better just land. So I'm thinking in my mind, we're doing full stop taxi backs now. He's getting a little busy, no big deal. I do my full stop, I do my taxi back because there's still more landings, there's still more content to be filmed. I go back, I'm at the hold short line, and I'm holding, and I'm holding, and I hear him tell someone, Piper 1, 2, 3, 4, slow it up a little bit, I got 1 departure ahead of you. That's me. I close my door as you see me do all the time. I'm getting ready here. He comes on and says, 2-3 Mike Zulu, unable touch and goes, say your intentions. I said, okay, I can do a full stop taxi back landing. He says, no, I'm unable to let you in the pattern. Say your intentions. I said, I'll just taxi back to the ramp then. I got like both my feelings hurt in that case. But when he said unable touch and goes, I'm thinking, well, there's low approaches, there's full stop taxi backs, there's stop and goes. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, there's plenty of options. I don't need to be cleared for the option. I don't need a touch and go. I'll do a landing. But what he meant to say was, I don't want you in my pattern. And I guess I got my feelings hurt. So that's the end of my therapy session. Was I wrong? Maybe I'll release the video. I don't know. Anyways, John says, do you support the 3-strike rule for not flying? John, I can support the 1-strike rule depending on what it is. Go get in a fight with your spouse. You probably shouldn't be flying after that, right? Go get fired from a job. You probably shouldn't be flying after that. Go lose a big client. You probably shouldn't be flying. Like, that's 1 strike. But 3 strikes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I check and, this is a little wrong, but it's okay. I was a little late getting to the airport. The tires have a little bit of cracking, but should probably be fine. Like, you're talking about a series of little things? Absolutely. At the end of the day, CFR 91.3 says you are the pilot in command, you have the final authority as the safe of that flight. If you take that thing up and you have an accident, guess who they're coming after? It's your booty. So you might as well cover it. All right. How do you be more confident as a private pilot to fly with someone, another pilot, to build time? I hate to give this advice, but you truly just have to get out there and do it. You're going to be nervous with that other person. You're going to be nervous. Early on, when I was just a private pilot, there was a gentleman I really looked up to as a commercial pilot, and we would split time because he was working towards CFI. And we would split time together. And it was a little intimidating with someone with that much experience. But I said, you know what? I'm just going to learn. I'm going to use this as a learning opportunity, right? So that's just how I structured that as well. Is Ashley's, do you see the profile picture? Look at that. The private pilot blueprint. Am I right? Look at that. When your profile picture is the private pilot blueprint, you get a gold star. So we're going to answer this question. How do I hold my flight school accountable for loan spending amount going all the way to commercial? You have a fiduciary responsibility to you and to your family. Let me tell you, I realize that you've gotten a flight training loan and you're concerned that that school is just going to burn through it. As I can't remember who it was, maybe it was Michael J. McMurray. I can't remember who it was. I shared this on the webinar this week with the ground school members. Someone called their CFI once a pattern burning wallet drainer. Anybody ever have like, I want a t-shirt. Will somebody, my birthday's May 23rd. I'm a size large. Will somebody make me a t-shirt that says, my CFI was a pattern burning wallet drainer? It's amazing. They said that. I can't remember when this happened. Who was there when this happened? You have to remember, it was such a funny moment. They literally called their CFI a pattern burning wallet drainer. Anyways, I share all that to say, Ashley, that you have to keep an eye on exactly what's happening. You have to know what the lesson is tomorrow and the lesson after that. You have to make sure they're sticking to the syllabus. At the end of the day, who's the bank going to come after if we fall behind on payments? They're not going to come after the flight school. They're going to come after you. So you've got to talk about, look at it that way. Crispy K, that's just a good username. I'm surprised that was available. It's such a good username. Are you coming to Oshkosh? I will be at Oshkosh. I will be at Women in Aviation in March, speaking that Saturday. I'm only probably there Saturday, I think, speaking that Saturday. I will be at Sun and Fun, and I will be at Oshkosh Bagash. So look forward to seeing you all there. Eric Deal's on the shirt. All right, good. Thank you. Remember, like 3 kittens soft, Eric. It's got to be a soft shirt. Okay, let's find some other ones here. Jeff says, is my private pilot book relatable Canadian aviation? Yes, some regulations are going to change, some airspace are going to change, but Mr. Bernoulli and his principal don't change. Good decision making doesn't change. Emergency procedures don't change. Weather doesn't change. Cross-country flight planning doesn't change. Systems doesn't change. Regulations is different. The book is an Audible credit. It's very, very affordable as far as that goes. Let's find some other ones. Oh, I love this question. Marco Serrano. You can go somewhere with a name like Marco Serrano. I feel like, what are you wearing? Oh, it's Marco Serrano. Doesn't that sound like, I'm being serious. You've got a name, my friend. Like with that name, you can go somewhere. If you're not designing clothes by the end of this year, I'm gonna be very disappointed. It's Marco Serrano. Does that sound good? I'll be your marketing team. Any advice on buying your first airplane? What to look for, best way to finance, etc. Well, Marco, first and foremost, interest rates are still a little bit too crazy. I can't, in good faith, tell you to go finance an aircraft at 7 or 8%. If you can get a 5 in front, I can approve of that. But unless there's a 5, I don't want you upside down from the very, very beginning, okay? I have a whole series, if you look on YouTube, called How to Buy an Airplane. I've done it a few times. Just go find the most recent version of it, How to Buy an Airplane. I'm not afraid of ugly airplanes. If you've got a good engine, you've got good avionics, paint and interior are cheap. I don't mind ugly airplanes. I'm gonna tell you though, my friend, I shop, if you were to look at my internet history, Controller is app number 1. okay, or Safari tab number 1. Controller and Hangar 67. I'm there every day. On the drive here, I wasn't driving. I was on controller, no joke. I'm always looking. People are still too proud. Price-wise, still too expensive here. YA Aviation, CFI here, thank you for being here. How do I deal with student frustration? Should I stick to the FOIs, fundamentals of instructing, or try to be more personable? Try the personal route. And also, my friend, sometimes a different voice is very, very powerful. You know, how I was an 18-year-old CFI, and I looked like an 18-year-old CFI. I couldn't grow any facial hair. I looked super, super young. So no one wanted to fly with me initially. The only students I got were the students that everyone said, like, they're frustrated, they can't land, they can't do this, they can't do that. I'm like, I'll take them. And I wasn't a great CFI at 18 years old by any means. I'm still aspiring to be one. But it was getting a different voice, hearing someone say the same thing a different way, explain something a different way, that helped elevate their flying with that. So let's find some others here. Northwest Vintage Restorations on YouTube says, how about buying an airplane that's over its TBO limit? Well, clearly, if you do restorations and you have a dirt bike as your profile picture, you're handy. But are you an A&P? I'm not crazy. Engines are expensive. Parts are hard to come by, even still right now. I mean, I saw someone was posting earlier, a TBO on an 0200 is like 37 grand now. That used to be like 12 grand. Or overhaul, I'm sorry, used to be 12 grand. I like low time engines. I like low airframe times. I like ugly airplanes. I can do paint interior. I don't mean I mean like I'll pay a shop to do it, but something with that. Please sing us the go-around song. You do not want me to sing. If I was to start a band, it would be called Joyful Noise, because that's about all I got. So yeah, you don't want me. I can play a little guitar and little drums, but singing, that is not a gift I got. But no, story for another day. Lauren, great to see you. How long does it typically, where'd Lauren go? How long does it typically take to go from private to CFI? It depends. Are you in the academy type environment, or are you going to continue doing it Part 61 and keep your engineering job and everything else? If you are going to go private to CFI, and I know you have a good job and keep your current job, the best thing you can do is find a great flight school and chip away at it 2 or 3 days a week after work. But even on that track, you're looking at 18 to 24 months. And that's staying at consistently with that. Chris says the Emsray Rock Band is coming. It already has a name. It's Jason and the Jets. I'll be Jason, you can be the Jets. That was a bad joke, sorry. Chris is into it though. Yeah, you don't want that either, Danielle. You don't want that either, trust me. We don't have that gifting. All right, one more question, then it is so far past my bedtime. One more question. Who is going to be the winner? And I will go back and read all of these later here. It's Anthony. Anthony, you're the winner on YouTube here. Actually, can I do Kriza too? Can I do two? I'm sorry. Anthony and Kriza. Let me do Kriza first, then Anthony Whitting. I'm coming your way. Kriza, Jason, did my medical. I finished your private pilot course. Thank you. I got the endorsement, but I'm scared to take the written. Please advise. Say your intentions. You know, to earn an endorsement from myself through the ground school, you have to score a 90%. Not only do you have to score a 90%, you have to complete all quizzes at a 90%, complete all videos, and get a final exam score of a 90%. That is not easy to do. I will never speak poorly of our competitors, but most of our competitors give you an endorsement when you get a 70%. I hold you to a very high standard, my friend. You are going to be A-okay. As long as you understand the why. If you got a 90% just by rote memorization, you're going to be in trouble. You'll pass, but you're going to be in trouble. You need to know the why. Why is that the correct answer? Why is that the case? Whatever that may be. Keep in the ground school. Go use the Aviation Mastery Method, that free study section as well. Continue to take practice final exams. Keep quizzing yourself. All right. Anthony, what is the criteria to set your own personal minimums? You ready for this? I set my personal minimums in really 3 major categories. And I phrase it as a statement. I will will not go flying if the clouds are less than blank. Why do I say clouds? Because I know a few layer becomes a scattered layer, becomes a broken layer, becomes an overcast layer like that. The clouds lower than this. I'll get to how to do it in a second here. The next thing, I will not go flying if the visibility is less than blank. You fill in that blank. Let the METAR make the decision for you. And I don't know where you're at in your flying, Anthony, but if you're a private pilot only, I would be very disappointed if that number is anything less than 7. It really should be like 8 or 9. And lastly, I will not go flying if the wind is greater than blank. You could also add, I will not go flying if the crosswind component is greater than blank. And you know that better than anybody. I can't tell somebody in Texas that that number should be 8 because you'll never fly in Texas, right? It's always over 8 knots. So you have different skill levels and sets on that as well. So just think about that. Now, as far as the clouds go though, you always have to approach it as, okay, what if that cloud layer keeps coming down? What if I get a jam? What if I don't want to ever get stuck above? Higher is always better. Now, I adjust my personal minimums when I gain more hours, more experience, more ratings, but I also adjust them the other way. If I'm flying with family, I'll raise them. If I'm flying in a new airplane, new to me airplane, I'll raise them. These are moving numbers based on the circumstances of this flight as well. But at the end of the day, when you put those 3 numbers, clouds, visibility, and wind, you read the METAR and you go, I'm not going flying today. You read the TAF and go, there's no chance I'm flying then, right? That's what you have to do. And I love Hunter's comment there too. Talk to your CFI. Your CFI will give you a good, unbiased opinion on that as well. JR, great to see you on here. So listen, it has been absolutely amazing to spend this past hour and 6 minutes with you all. Thank you for putting your goals out there. And I just want to proclaim over you that you may receive all the desires of your heart, especially the ones that have been placed on your heart even before you knew about it. Thank you so much for playing full out. Thank you for continuing to make M0A one of the best. Thank you for making myself better and better. On behalf of myself, my beautiful little family, this amazing team here at M0A.com, have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you.